With the traditional fish farming, fish were literally kept in a pond, and the pond has an outlet and an inlet. That's all. And mostly they were kept in either earthen pond. Earthen pond was dominant, and sometimes concrete pond. But with the advance of technology, fish farming has been revolutionized into several ways, making it much easier. In this video, I'm going to compare the traditional fish farming or the traditional pond system and the recirculating aquaculture system. Now we have looked at the traditional way of raising the fish, where the fish are kept in ponds and just make inlet to put in water, outlet to take out the waste. And the water is just changed few days and production continues that way. And sometimes, like earthen pond, the water do not change all the time, and you will find a lot of algae and pathogens in the pond. In the recirculating aquaculture system, things are different. It is also a pond system, all right, because the fish are housed in pond. But instead of just ordinary inlet and outlet and that ends it, no. Filtration systems are connected to the ponds. Aeration systems are also connected. Pipings are done. Degassing is done there. Disinfection is done there. And also, water parameters are tested with right test case. Unlike the traditional ways, where you just keep them in there, whatever is happening, you don't care. But this modern ways of farming, we actually have the recirculating aquaculture system. And that's what I've just counted. The recirculating aquaculture system is basically filtration irrigation system. Now with the filtration systems, we also have it in several ways. We have the mechanical filtration, we have the biological filtration, we have biofilters. All these are filtration ways of purifying the water. Now let's look at what differentiates them in different aspects. Let's talk about water usage. In the traditional pond systems, you use more water to produce the fish. Because there's no filtration ongoing, you constantly have to drain out the water and change new one. And depending on the stocking density of your fish, this could be done every 2-3 days, mostly a week. Drain all the water and put in new water. In fact, waste a lot of water. And that is what happens in the traditional pond system. However, in the recirculating aquaculture system, because the aerosol particles are filtered and oxygen is added and degassing is ongoing, disinfection is ongoing, you can literally keep that same water to raise the fish without changing the water. Mostly what you have to do is to top up the water because of evaporation, and also when you are flushing out the dirt or the feeds of the water is going down. So you literally just change the water. So in there, we say that with this method, that the recirculating aquaculture system, you can save up to 90% water. And that is it. Now, second one, which is also important, is stocking density. With the traditional pond system, because the feces and the leftover feed and everything is left in the pond, you cannot stock more fish. Like I mentioned earlier, the more fish you stock there, the constant change of the water. Because of that, generally, you have to stock one fish to 10 liters of water, especially if you're intending to raise them to 1 kilogram. If you're not raising them to 1 kilogram, let's say you are raising them to 500 grams or lesser, you can keep 2 fish to 10 liters of water. And that's it. It means that with 1,000 liters of water, if you are keeping one fish to 1 to 10 liters, it means that you can only keep 100 fish in there. And if you are raising them to just 500 grams and not 1 kilogram, you can keep 200 fish in there. But in the RAS or the circular aquaculture system, you can actually keep more fish in the water because the waste is being removed, the water is purified, and oxygen is added. Because of that, if you are raising them to 1 kilogram, you can even actually keep 1 fish to 10 liters, or even 2 fish to 10 liters of water. Some even keep 3, but I will recommend 1 or 2 because if there's more space for them, then the growth too will be higher. That being said, It means that with 1,000 liters of water, you can actually keep 100 fish in there and you can raise them to 1 kilogram without any problems. Having looked at that, now let's look at the environment, the environmental impact of each of them. With the pond aquaculture system, the traditional way, it pollutes the water bodies or the environment because the constant removal of the wastewater into the environment obviously is polluting the environment. When you raise them, especially if you stock them high, within few days, the entire water is dirty and the place is smelling. And you have to discard that water and change new one. So because of the constant discarding of the wastewater to the environment, obviously it's polluting. Also, because you constantly take out the water which is smelly, it is making it difficult to keep that ponds in cities or urban because it will always be smelling and disturbing your neighbors. But other than RAS, because you constantly purify the water, it means you are free from changing the water or taking that waste into the environment. Therefore, the environment is safe and you can always continue your production. Feed conversion ratio. Feed conversion ratio has to do with how the fish are able to convert the feed you're giving them to body weight. So with the traditional pond system, in fact, feed conversion ratio is very low. What it means is that fish feed are wasted more there because the place is so conducive for the fish. They are living in their own feces, they are living in their own waste, and the water is smelling and they are stressed. When you give them fish feed, most of the feed goes to waste. They are not able to actually consume everything and convert it to body weight. And that means that their growth will be slow. But with the RAS, because it is filtered, water is added, and the fish are not stressed, when you give them feed, they are able to consume all the feed and convert it to body weight. And for that matter, their growth and the growth will be higher and the feed cost will also be lower because they are converting all the feed to body weight. Now let's also look at capital costs and operational costs. This, when we come here, you will find the traditional way of fish farming to have lower costs because you just have your pond set up, your inlet, outlet, boom, you are gone. That's it. It costs lesser. Operational cost is lesser because you don't consume any power or electricity. It's lesser. But it is costly with the change of the water. The water there, that's when you will know it's costly because you have to constantly change the water. But let's come to RAS. In terms of initial or setup cost, is higher because you need submersible pumps, you need filtration system, you need all these things, you need piping, and all comes at a cost. Also, the constant working of the filtration system and aeration system, which is the submersible pumps, is also consuming power or electricity, and therefore power consumption or operational cost will increase. But generally, it will pay off because the fish will grow faster and you sell down and you make your more profit, and you can also stock more. That is it for that. So in terms of cost, that's where the difference comes. Let's also look at energy and footprint. In terms of energy, the traditional pond saves a lot of energy. Put in your water, drain it, put in more water, drain it. That's all. You don't consume power, like I said. But with the RAS, you have to ought to have electricity, either from the national grid or renewable energy like solar panels or whatever. But you ought to have electricity to constantly run the system, and this is also power consuming. The same is biosecurity measures, biosecurity and risk. In fact, with the traditional pond system, especially the earthen ponds, it is very difficult to protect predators from the fish. So you find birds and other reptiles who consume fish to come in there and consume the fish. That what we call predators. And in doing so, sometimes they also contaminate the pond water that can lead to disease and killing of your fish. And because the fish water is also purified, the fish are always stressed and that can lead to disease and mortality. So these biosecurity measures are very common, and fish are subjected to predators and other prone diseases in the traditional way. But the RAS, the water is filtered and they are kept in ponds, which you can easily control. So you can easily put the predator's net to avoid or to prevent other predators from attacking the fish. Also, the water is being purified and oxygen is added, so the fish are not stressed. And because they're not stressed, they'll continue to grow. So that is another aspect of the recirculating aquaculture system as compared to the traditional pond systems in fish farming. Waste management and environmental impact. I mentioned earlier, in terms of waste, with the traditional pond, it produces a lot of waste. The leftover feed, as it decay and decompose, the feces, as the fish release it into the pond, the water gets dirty. How do you manage that? With the traditional way, just discard it. Open the outlet, the water is going. Where is it going to? You don't care. Goes into the water bodies, pollute it, and that's not good. Or you release it into the environment, it is smelling, your neighbors are worried, it's not good. But with the recirculating aquaculture system, the entire thing is recycled. The water is being purified and reused. And even when instances you have to take out the water, because there are times that you change the water or you are washing the filtration system and that dirty water, there's a way also you connect and recycle that water and also convert it back into the pond when you need it. So this system, no water go waste. And that is why it is good and environmental friendly. Now, let's also talk about the A for that is labor cost. When it comes to labor and expertise, with a traditional pond, doesn't require much expertise. Yes, because the water is dirty, you take it out and you put more water. No expertise required here, even though there's a little, because you have to know when to change and when not to. But with the circle aquaculture system, because it involves technology, it uses submersible pumps, piping, filtration systems. It requires some level of expertise, because if the farmer cannot tell whether the filtration or the irrigation is performing well, that can lead to disaster. Therefore, there's a need to train the farmer as to how to go by the filtration system, irrigation system, ensure that everything is working. So that level of expertise is required with the modernized or the recirculating aquaculture system, other than the traditional way. And that also required to an extent some labor there as compared to the traditional method of fish farming. Ninth point, that's the second last, is suitability. That is what you are expecting or your plans towards that. Either you're going for the traditional way or the circle aquaculture system way, it depends on how suitable your farm will be. And the suitability, we can talk about the location of the farm. For instance, if you are going outskirts, probably to do your farming, and you know you have enough water to be changing all the time, and you have the time to be changing, or you have the laborers to be working, I would think that providing the recirculating aquaculture system that comes with another energy cost can have hindrance, or probably there's not even energy source there. That case, to go in with the traditional way is suitable for you. You can go there, just have your pond and your inlet outlet, and you constantly change your water, and you are good to go. And the suitability also has to do with the species that you are going to produce. Catfish, they are good. You can easily produce them without filtration system or irrigation system. Tilapia is sometimes difficult to raise them without filtration system or irrigation system. So that suitability also comes there, and the species also tells. But also you are going to have your farm in urban or in cities. Wasting the water or taking it out and smelling everything will not be conducive. Going in for a circle aquaculture system will help a lot. And there we talk about the suitability again. And also the last point, that is risk and failure. Risk, I mentioned earlier, the pond system, the traditional, is subjected to predators, is subjected to pathogens, is subjected to excessive algal growth. All these are risks for your farm, and you can subjected to failure if you are going with that route. That aquaculture system also has some kind of risk I mentioned earlier. It needs expertise. So you need to train your staff or your farmers on how to manage the farm properly. These are the risks. And you also subjected to risk of electrical shocks. In fact, that has happened to me several times on my farm. You know, water is good electricity conductivity. Or yes. Now you are dealing with electricity. It can shock you sometimes. Like it happens to me once in a while. So be aware of those risks. But generally, what will I recommend? I would recommend you go with the modernized way of doing things or a technological way of doing things by installing fish farms with recirculating aquaculture system where you will not change the water. Not only that, the system also gives the fish health and they grow better because they don't live in their own feces. Because the harmful gases are being removed, the high ammonia is converted to useful ammonia to useful parameters. All this will ensure that your fish are growing fine and better, and it also save you a lot of time and energy and also water. That said, I recommend you go in with the circulating aquaculture system. If you are wondering how to get it, we can get it installed for you. Or better still, and my best recommended is to get the DIY filtration assay system course, which we have developed, where you can enroll on it and learn yourself at your own time how to build and install the recirculating aquaculture system in your farm. The link is in the description. Just click on it, enroll in that course. It is pre-recorded videos where you will learn everything. And if you have challenges, we are around or we are there. Just contact us, we guide you and then you will learn. Enroll in the course, click in the link in the description, and I'll see you in my next video. Check out the next video in the end screen. My name once again is Abdulaziz Isa. All we do is to share information based on our said. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Share the video. Let's learn and grow our fish together. Thank you. Bye bye.